We love games that give you a good sniper challenge, so today we're going to talk about some of our favorite games that truly test your sniping skills. We wanted to acknowledge both sides of the fence here. You know, a couple of single-player games and, of course, multiplayer games. There are tons more games out there with sniping, though, so we're looking forward to hearing your own personal list down in the comments. Maybe you got a top 10, a top 5. Anyway, let's get started off with number 10 and talk about a classic first, Silent Scope. Specifically the arcade version. You guys remember this one? Do places still have this cabinet? Man, it was so cool. Just like Time Crisis, the controller was like an actual somewhat to scale gun, but unlike Time Crisis, it wasn't a pistol, but a giant sniper rifle with a scope and everything on it, and it was really cool, just a cool setup. Like there would be the normal screen that you would look at, and that's how you'd find your enemies, and then when you look into the scope on the plastic rifle, there was another little screen in there, but it would be zoomed in, just like a real sniper scope, only like a digital version. That's how you take out your enemies, by looking through the scope and bang. And for the time, it was amazing, and could get pretty challenging too. The cabinet even had a little step to like put your foot on it like a real snipey boy. The dudes you played as in these games always looked really stupid and cool, but like in a 90s way. I don't even think we should say cool, I think we should say like rad dudes. But yeah, definitely one of the cooler arcade games that we've ever played, and it's something that we still think about to this day just because it's so fun and challenging. But over at number 9, let's talk about the Sniper Ghost Warrior series. Now these Sniper Ghost Warrior games aren't the hottest things around. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 I wasn't the biggest fan of, so mainly think of Sniper Ghost Warrior 2. Either way, we give them points for trying. You have to stealth your way around, stealth killing dudes, doing FPS stuff, but the sniping is the bread and butter of these games, and like I said, they really go all out and there's a lot of features to it. Sniper gameplay features realistic bullet physics that factors distance, wind, and bullet drop when you're sniping targets, controlling your in-game breathing, and squeezing the trigger properly and decisively matter as well, which was kind of cool and unique. These games do have weak spots though, you know, they're very rough around the edges, but the attention to detail in sniper mechanics and the focus on it still makes the shooting way worth experiencing, especially with the difficulty turned up. Now over at number 8, of course, we gotta talk about Battlefield. Really, the whole series, honestly. Sniping has always been an important thing in the series, and it's always been something that people have really enjoyed. I think it's mostly due to the fact that it just has big, massive maps, all the games. Pulling off a headshot from across that massive map always makes you feel like the most badass, ultimate sniper. Travel time and bullet drop do matter here too, so it's not just like a point and shoot type of thing. You actually have to put some thought into your shots, despite it being such a chaotic game. The more recent Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 specifically have some really great sniper gunplay. And we do say that because also like World War I and World War II guns and the history behind them are interesting, and getting to use all these old rifles is really cool. It's probably the closest thing you get to actually ever seeing or experiencing them in real life. And despite a lot of the guns in the games, all of the games in World Wars have a lot of limitations, people do some amazing things with them online. Also, honestly, I can't wait to see what they're going to do next with the series. But I digress anyway. Let's move on over to number 7 and talk about Ghost Recon Wildlands. Because for all its faults, it did become much better over time, and that's a good thing because the sniping mechanics were pretty great. It just had a really good feel to it, and immediately kind of got an underground group of really dedicated fans. You have to worry about bullet drop, even care about the velocity depending on what weapon you're using, and learning to use the mil dots on your scope really can actually help. Plus, the game world just did a really great job of setting you up for super long-range success if you took the time to really embrace it. Now, the more recent Ghost Recon Breakpoint has a lot more issues than Wildlands, but the new updated immersive mode does improve things, and the game does retain a lot of that sniper fun, so yeah. Next, over at number 6, we gotta talk about Hitman, the whole series. Here at gameranx, we love all the games, and they all have great sniping stuff. The newer Hitman 1 and 2 have great sniper mechanics, although you really gotta put the work in to earn the ability to use that sniper rifle, which is satisfying and unique. But on the flip side, the older games also presented some really fantastic sniping scenarios. 47, of course, is known for his iconic silver baller pistols, but he was also seen just as often perched on a rooftop with a big, cool rifle. The actual sniping mechanics were simple. You know, you aim, there's some sway, you can hold your breath, that's about it. But it's not about being precise with the rifle as much as it is about being precise with your actual target. And that's where the fun lies in the sniping mechanics here. The original Hitman 2, you know, the Silent Assassin, not the new Hitman 2. It had a great mission in Russia where you had to use clues to find out who to shoot in a crowded room full of people like you're across the way. It was so fun and so challenging that first time, and is still incredibly unique and iconic to us here personally. Also, bonus points for being one of the only games on this list where the rifle is carried around in a cool suitcase and assembled on the fly. We just love that. Next, over at number 5, we gotta talk about PUBG, or PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It's a game that takes all of its weapons super seriously, from firing rates to bullet drop and all that, so it stands to reason that the sniper rifles would also be very well thought out and realistic, and yes, they are. You get some really great options ranging from stuff like the bolt-action Kar 98, semi-auto options like the AWM, to more multi-purpose rifles like the Mini 14, of course. And all of these, of course, can be kitted out and specialized to be better with scope, stock, ammo, and suppression add-ons that you can find out in the world. Those kitted out guns are pretty awesome, but they'd be useless without a good world to go out and just straight up murder dudes in, and PUBG's maps definitely lend themselves to that type of play, giving you all sorts of good vantage points, from buildings to hills to cliff faces that you can nest in and just lie in wait for one of the other 99 players to just come randomly ambling across a giant field. Someone's always bound to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you can shoot them in the face. And it being this type of game means that you're just as likely to be on the receiving end as you are to be the one doling it out, which can be incredibly frustrating at times, but if you're properly equipped and able to go toe-to-toe in a sniper or on sniper encounter, it can be incredibly difficult and rewarding and cool should you be the one to actually win. The Battle Royale genre really gives unique and challenging tension to sniping, and we think PUBG is still a great example to this day. Now at number 4, let's talk about Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Yes, CSGO. This one does come up a lot when people talk about sniping in games for a good reason. It's different than any of the other games on this list where you're the contemplative sniper, finding the perfect perch, waiting to get the drop on the enemy. Nope, in CSGO, as you probably know, it's insanely fast-paced and it's about rapid precision. Not a lot of contemplation and thought. Sure, it's more about knowing the maps and knowing player behavior, and sometimes you're gonna fire more shots than you should, but seeing high-level players fire off sniper rifle headshots like it's no big deal, you can really appreciate the long-range mechanics in this game, as straightforward and as simple as they can sometimes seem. And when the AWP is involved, forget about it, man. But over at number 3, Sniper Elite. Of course, you guys knew we were going to bring this up. We could talk about any game in the Sniper Elite series. For all of the various scenarios, I think they're all worth experiencing, but our personal favorite is 3. Still, 4 is more recent and incredible and opens things up. This is a game series that can be arcadey in feel, but you can ratchet up the difficulty to make it a bit more challenging. Either way, there's a fun amount of stuff you need to focus on in these games. The environment is really important. Using it to your advantage is a necessity, as well as for masking your shots. Like, for example, like firing only when big loud vehicles drive by, or if there's an aerial bombing in the war zone nearby. Also that you can get away with picking off dudes one by one without other people nearby noticing. Of course, you also have to worry about bullet drop, distance, and the direction and speed of the wind, but Sniper Elite packages it all in an accessible way. You know, it's not hardcore ultra real sniping simulator, unless you really ramp up the difficulty and stuff. Either way, it's got a great balance of arcadey fun factor to it. Plus, it's really on the list for the gore. Of course, you guys probably know you pull off a perfect shot and that camera zooms into a perspective to see dudes get blown away, sometimes with X-ray vision mode, and you get to see shattered skulls, exploding brains, ruptured internal organs, all kinds of blood and nasty goodness. It sounds gross, but it's really cool and unique and kind of rewards the challenge, and these games absolutely deserve a good spot on our list, man. But down to number 2, we have Arma 3, which is a pretty intense military shooter. Like, intense to the point that some people kind of get turned off by it, even though we think it's pretty cool. So, of course, sniping in Arma takes quite a bit of work. And it's not just steadying your breath like in other games and clicking the stick. You actually have to mess with your scope settings, use a rangefinder, stuff like that. Some players actually take it so far to the next level that they play with a friend and use a spotter. Can you imagine playing a game where sniping is a two-man job? That's insane, and also kind of awesome. Concealment is also a really big part of sniping in Arma. Like, if you roll up on your position in a vehicle, you're going to want to ditch it pretty far off and walk the rest of the way. And then, of course, also try and change positions between firing and taking on targets, all just so that nobody can follow your clues and track you down and find you and kill you. Just like everything else in Arma, it's intense and involved. And if you're a fan of realistic military games and haven't played Arma yet, I really don't know what you're doing. But of course, down to number 1, we're going to get personal here and talk about one of our favorites. You know, we love single-player games. the Metal Gear Solid series, for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, of course, the iconic Sniper Wolf battle from the original Metal Gear Solid, which is a pretty straightforward fight, but some of the great satisfaction that comes from it is first being on your ass when you don't have a sniper rifle, and then you have to go backtrack to get it. That sense of reward and fulfillment you get for finally finding and bringing the right tool back to the job is great. Then, of course, Metal Gear Solid 5 more recently kind of solidified the series as having great sniper boss battle moments. The boss battle with Quiet was challenging and fun and goofy and really, really unique in a lot of ways, not just for sniping, but for like stealth sniping type of stuff. But like I said, it really hammered home that the series is great and not a one-trick pony with this stuff, because the actual real greatest of all time was the end sniper rifle battle from Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, while the Metal Gear Solid gameplay is never hyper-realistic and sometimes it's kind of goofy, the boss battle with the end, the legendary sniper, could take you a long time, hours in fact, because it was really realistic. It gave you that real feel of slowly creeping through the jungle. One man with a sniper rifle versus another man with a sniper rifle, both camouflaged in deep foliage, using clues to find your target, hopefully get a shot off, and then reposition and track down your target again. It was really, really tense and satisfying and incredibly memorable and iconic, so that's why we wanted to highlight it. The Metal Gear Solid series really just gets the whole sniping thing, man, in a really fun way. But of course, we got some bonus games we want to mention as well. Fortnite, more recently, has made a name for itself for having some fun sniper gameplay. Yeah, the mechanics are pretty straightforward, but if you look up a YouTube video, like a supercut of a pro getting some real good sniper kills, you can kind of understand why so many people appreciate it. And of course, Call of Duty, you know, the multiplayer, yeah, but in our love of single-player games, we also wanted to point out the all-gillied up mission from the original Modern Warfare. Personally, the only thing really to come close to the feeling of creeping around slowly in the Metal Gear Solid 3 end boss battle. And of course, Insurgency Sandstorm, which, similar to CSGO, kind of has that intensity, power, and speed behind shots that is difficult, but makes the game really satisfying. These are some sniping games that really test your skills that we wanted to point out. We love just talking about stuff like this. And of course, like we said earlier in the video, we'd love to hear some sniping games that are your favorites, maybe your most challenging moments, down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, consider maybe clicking that like button and sharing it with a friend if you enjoyed it, because we'd really appreciate all that. But either way, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.